Hi folks, I thought I'd just do a little run through of how we, using our rules, would use knights attacking some archers, just to give you an idea of how they might work for us. So we have battlefield movement and what we call grand tactical movement. This is using WRG 7th edition. I'll just show you there. That's that set of rules, very old, 1992. We've rewritten and changed a lot of them, and as you see, my tatty quick reference sheet. Anyway, yeah. So we have a grand tactical movement where we move outside of 240 paces, which is that's 240 paces. Once any unit gets to 240 paces, it stops and starts moving tactically. So what I've got here is a unit of archers, 24 archers, between two woods, some stakes deployed, and a unit of super heavy cavalry come to attack them. Right, so they stop at 240, which is maximum range for the longbow in this particular case, so the longbow will be able to fire. The shooting will be we have 24, but a long range, that's half effect. So it's 12 at super heavy knights, so factor 2 with a longbow. 12 at 2 will give us 24 casualties. 12-man unit, that's 2 casualties per figure, or as we would call it, 2 CPFs. So I would record that down now on a little notebook, but it's not a problem. For this game we don't use lots of dice, but we do record casualties. We don't remove casualties figures. So all we're using is those 3 dice. Those 3 dice, you can see them. We've got 1d6, which is used for morale. We've got 2 average dice, a green and a red. Green is plus, red is minus. That's used for regulars, which would be the archers. They would use average dice, being regular and the score is more average. For irregulars, which would be the French knights, they'd be using a d6 and a d5 average dice. And that's what the irregulars are looking for. They're looking for a +4. It's the golden fleece. Anyway, so the archers have achieved 24 casualties or 2 CPFs. That doesn't stop the knights moving anywhere. So next bound, the archers are obviously not going to move. The knights will move. Now they can move a maximum of 160, which is 4 of those, 40 paces each one. And short range is 80 for the bows. So obviously they want to stay out of short range as long as they can, and they want to be able to charge. So we probably move these 120 paces, if that makes sense, up to 120. The charge move is 160, which will give them plenty to charge next bound. But because now the archers get another shot, still at long range. We've got 24 archers, halved because it's long range. They'll do another 2 CPFs, so that's now 4 CPFs. Still won't affect them. No dice to be rolled, so we've got the 4 CPFs. They're still counted okay. Now, up comes the charge move. They will want to charge. They're irregular because they're French knights. They want to impetuously charge. They can state that. They're irregular B. Okay, so it's now time for the knights to charge home. I've had enough of the arrow storm. It's not going to get any better. So they're outside of close range, but as they charge in, it's an automatic declared charge because there's nothing wrong with them, only having the 4 casualties per figure. They now charge in. We usually try to line up where we can with an element, because this is an element based game. There's no point putting your figures halfway in between, so you line up to an element, to the left or the right, whatever. But the archers will now get a shot at close range. Normal bows would count the first and second ranks at full effect. For long bows, they only count the first rank at full effect, second rank at half effect. So 12 halved 6, we've got 18 firing at the super heavy knights, which is a factor 2, but ending in contact is -2, so it takes them back to 0. 18 at 0 is 18. which is 1.5 CPFs or 1.5 casualties per figure. They had 4 previously. They have now gone up to what, 5.5, so that's 5 if we're not using the half system. This will make them tired, which is a minus in combat. So now the archers have shot. They do not hand-to-hand fight. They chose to stand and shoot, which is obviously what archers should do behind the stakes. Okay, so the knights have made contact now. That's nothing coming from the archers, as I said. The archers did 18, which counts as 1.5 casualties per figure, being 12 figures. So that's -1 on the knights. So with the knights are factor 4. Impetuous 5, 6, charging 7. But the minuses are -1 for each support shooting casualty per figure. That's the archers shooting as they come in. They're tired because they've got to 5, as I stated previous. And it's a -2 for trying to cross the stakes. It's counted defended obstacle. So that's 4 minuses. That brings the cavalry, which is 6 in the front rank and 3 in the second rank. Second rank counting as half effect. So we now have what's that? 9 at 3. I make that. Let's have a look. 7, yeah, -4. 9 at 3. 9 at 3 is 23. That's not 1 casualty per figure, and will have no effect on the archers. Had they achieved more than the 24, so let's say they got 1 up, the archers hadn't caused any casualties, or the unit wasn't tired, that would have been more than 1 per figure. That would have pushed the archers back. But because they didn't do 1 per figure, they can't push the archers back. So we've got the archers standing there shooting, doing 18. The knights charging and doing 23, which is more than the archers, but not 1 casualty per figure. So all the knights can do is break off. They cannot force their way through the stakes, which I think for most of us is what we'd like to see. Supposedly this is what the stakes are for. They stop the knights charging home. If they make contact with the archers obviously will have no chance. That's just the way it goes. The archers also do not count shieldless because they're defending this obstacle or cover. They're not counted shieldless. Out in the open they would count as shieldless. But yeah, that's where we end up. So the knights would now have to turn around in the next bound and break off. Now this is all dangerous. You could be pursued and caught. If it was other cavalry, they would run back. But because it's infantry standing to defend, they'll stand and defend, ready for the next attack of the next unit of cavalry, I'm assuming. There you go. That's a little run through of how we would do things. I say normally we'd be using these dice and the things would go up and down. For example, the archer's shooting, what have I rolled there? I rolled a 3 and a 2, that's a +1 on shooting. Another roll, it's an evens roll. With the knights charging home, it's an impetuous charge, roll the dice, that's down 2. That's a 3 on the black d6 and a 5 on the average dice. That's down 2, but because they're B class, it's only down 1. They obviously want the big plus. What they're looking for is something like that, as I said earlier, and that. If they rolled that, that would be +4 to their charge and would probably rout the archers. But simple system, works for us. There you go. Anyway, hope that was of some interest to some of you. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.